The Immovable Race 2. World War 3. By Ean Mikale. Chapter. Escape from the North. We ran as fast as our legs could carry us. We doubled over the tracks we left in the snow. We ignored the cuts all over the sides of our body and our face from the sharp branches of the forest trees, as if hazing us, and forcing us to earn our freedom. We reached a barbed wire fence that was electrically charged. While a masked stranger held up the electrified fencing with a large stick, as I was able to easily slide underneath. And as I held up the same fence, he slid beneath the wire and removed the stick. Removing his mask and pulling out a small white lab rat. It was a beautiful woman, Angel. She was the top agent at the time for the Black 100, the intelligence agency for the movement. She released the rat into the snow, for in front of us lay a mile of landmines, deep in the demilitarized zone, separating North and South Korea. And we followed the white rat as if our lives depended on it, and we navigated ever so carefully, paying mind to follow the exact trajectory of the small mammal crisscrossing this and that way before us. Before we knew it, we were on the other side breathing heavily, and Angel grabbed up the rat, fed it a small piece of cheese, and gave it a kiss, before placing the rodent back inside her pocket. We ducked low as we heard a jet flying overhead, and saw bullets and other weaponry streaking across the sky. It was our own, and a long enough distraction for us to climb over the high wall by standing on top of one another. And on the other side of the wall, we left our white snowsuits, and changed into local attire, quickly blending in with the South Korean villagers. After walking 5 clicks or so, the 100 were waiting, quickly directing us into the rear of a black SUV. And as the snow began to fall, we quickly sped away off into the night. And we dined, and were well fed. North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, was gracious in his welcome, and it was there that I spent much of my time after exchanging custody from the Russians, into the hands of the North Koreans. The brutality of each was comparable, but with the North Koreans, there was less of a soul. The things that they would do to the prisoners were designed to keep them on the edge of life, while getting as close to death as possible without taking their life, and sending them into the void. I was locked away, and eventually they came to retrieve me. And when they did, they sat me in a room by myself. There was mirrored glass in front of me. I was questioned again, and if I would not answer their questions to their satisfaction, then immediately a large man guard would come into the room and tried to knock the life out of me. And I held on to my secrecy, and I held on to my life, knowing that it was a matter of time before the immovable race would come. I knew that they would not leave me there. For what I possessed in my mind was far too valuable. And this, the Russians and the North Koreans both knew. And I believe that it was my dissidence, it was my quietude that kept me alive, for if they had retrieved what it was that they sought, then surely they would have done away with me. And so, they would force me to work in labor camps, where they heartlessly would dispose of the dead, those they either shot, beat to death, or were too weak to slave any longer. While there, I met a man who had a black C behind his ear. When I noticed, he gave me a look of silence, and I said nothing. About a week after that day, while cleaning out the latrine, I was able to briefly take a break to relieve myself near the forest. And while doing so, from behind a tree I heard a whisper. Turning around to see if anyone was looking, there was no one. And I walked a little bit further to the edge of the forest, and there I saw the man I had seen before. And he explained to me that he had been in the camp for 2 months, and that he was waiting for the right time to contact me. And that the time to escape would be 3 days from that moment. And he informed me of his plan, and that all things would go according to that plan. And things between now and then were to go as normal. So I returned as quickly as I could, and I was spit on, beaten, and kicked like a dog for taking too long to relieve myself. And spending the next 3 days in the hole, I wondered how I would be freed. And then while in the hole, underneath me, the floor gave way, and in the hole there was a hole. And I felt a hand grab me, and I held my mouth to keep from screaming out. PSSST. Peter. It's me. Whispered a voice. Hurry up. The time is now. And so I followed him, and as soon as we dived down into a small area underneath the prison, I was given a white jumpsuit that I presumed would help in our escape in the snow. And we crawled underground, in a space that was only wide enough and high enough for me to squirm and inch forward. I felt as if I might die from suffocation, and we inched forward slowly, making progress. We crawled for 5 football fields away from the prison. I was surprised that no one had grabbed me from behind and dragged both of us back to prison. There was no time to talk or to ask questions, but only enough time to decide I would follow. After crawling for what seemed like an eternity, I was relieved to finally feel the cold air, to breathe it, to be outside of the walls of evil, and he helped me up, and in our white camouflage, we made our way.